Good evening. I'm back. I'm Jill with Copycat Crafts by Jill, and we're working on part 2. Yep, part 2 of the copycat of a copycat from Margaret at 7 Plaza. She did Gunther B, a flippy flappy experiment, and I did a copycat, and now I'm doing a copycat of the copycat. So today, actually, if you did your homework, remember last time we did this piece and we decorated the front, and then off camera I decorated the back. So because of the video, obviously had gotten way too long, so I just did the back off camera. And that is how it turned out. I did one long sheet of paper, bent it, and then inked it and glued it so it's two separate pockets. Here's a tiny little tuck spot with a piece of little ticket in it. This is actually a pocket, and here is a paper clip. And even on the front, I did add some stamping, a little piece of paper with a tiny attacher staple. I did put glued these little corners on, and I did use that little oval piece. So, yep, I did my homework. So that's actually ready, and we're not going to put it aside. We're actually going to need it to measure for our next step. Our next step is making, actually this one, maybe we'll be able to make both of them, but I did one ahead so that I could show you, and then for the second one I'll do on camera. So that's what we're going to be working on, and I'll show you how I did mine. So you have this piece, and I did mine. The back is an inch taller than the front. You don't have to. You can do the front taller. You can do them the same size. What you want to keep in mind is these are the file folders, and I, off camera, cut mine down to the size I need. So the opening is on this end. And here are my cut-offs. So these were on here. So my folder was big. And all I did was I wanted my folder to be the same width as my front. So I cut them down. So I have two folders that I cut down. And this is the one I already made to save some time. And I'm going to show you how I make it. This is the piece that will fit in there. It gets, when you open it, it actually gets glued on 3 sides. Because when you open it, it is the pocket. Pocket. So when you open it, and then it flaps open there, and we need 2 of these, and they have to be identical, or should be identical. So this is exactly what it started out as. Again, it was the full folder. I trimmed it to where I need it, and for me it's easiest to cut all 3 at this, both at the same time. I also cut a piece for the top flap, and I cut all 3 of them at the same time so that I was absolutely sure all 3 are the same height, because otherwise I get a crooked. So what you have to do is you take your file folder, and there's the bend in it. I took, well, this one will be opposite, because when you put them in, this side here will be folded in. Gets a little confusing, so I'm going to try to go a little slower and not confuse you. On my original, these two ends fit together, and this is the part that opens. They both have a little flap. So we made this flap on this side, so we're going to fold in the flap on this side. So that's what we're going to do. I just followed the score line that was already there. That's all I did. If yours doesn't have a score line, then you would want to make sure that this piece and this one will go up against your back, the back of your piece, and that's what makes your pocket in there. So you want to make sure, and this will be a 1/2 inch spine. So let me put that in. You don't want to put it in on the side that you're going to fold. You want to definitely put it in the longer side. That's where you want your second fold. I'm going to use my scoreboard, otherwise I won't get my fold in there correctly. So here's the original score. This is the side we did not fold, and that is the side you want to score. And you want to score about a 1/2 inch. Whatever because you're going to do both of them the same, and they have to fit into, did I mush it? If you recall, this is about 1 inch. The bottom of this is about 1 inch. So that you can't get bigger than that with these two pieces. So we're going to go a 1/2 inch, which is, or about a 1/2 inch. It's not scientific here. So this score, pick any number and line up the main score, and then just go a 1/2 inch, which is basically 2 score lines, and then rescore so that you're sure. Okay, now I'm going to fold that right away on that new score line. Now we have a 1/2 inch spine. So this, now, when you open it, this is our flap side. This part has to get removed. So let me get my scoreboard out of the way, because we're going to mark it so we can remove that. All right, so for me, the easiest way, because you want to make sure that this piece is kind of square. You don't want to have this willy-nilly, and then when you mark this side, then this end and your new end over here won't line up. You need them to line up, and you need this to be sort of square. So I just hold it and I mark it. Okay. Now I'm going to bring my paper trimmer, and I'm going to put the mark so that I can trim it. There it is. Okay. Stuck over there. Okay. Sorry if I get my head in the way. Alright. Remove that and keep everything. Okay. So now we have this side. So we basically have both our sides. And it should look like that. That is what will fit in here. So I hope that was clear. So that then when you open it, I might have these in, yeah, I have these in upside down or backwards, whichever. Yep. So, right. So you see they're the same size this way. They're the same this way. When you open it, and then you fold it open again, you have your flap here and your flap here. So we have it. Now all we need is the flap for the top. Get my original. Now my flap for the top, I made this a little bit bigger actually than the bottom. I just wanted to give it a little extra room. I believe Margaret did that as well, because as you stuff it, you don't want it to start out super tight, and then as you stuff it, it won't fit. So this piece is only about, I only have it tucked in here, so it's about 6 inches or so. You can make it any length you want. I have mine tucked into this back pocket, about 1 inch or so. I believe I will do the same because I made, again, I wanted the higher pocket. So I'll probably do the same. I will make it big enough to just tuck it in. So there's no need to decorate this. I actually decorated this whole page and I didn't need to. So all you will need to decorate is the part of your whole flap. So I have the one piece for my flap that I've already cut. When I cut all of them, I cut them all at the same time. Now all I have to do is decide how big I want the flap. So if I just tuck it in there, again about 1 inch like I did with my first one. It doesn't have to be a whole inch, but I want to get it in there good enough. Then we want it, I'll have to measure, because we know that's 1 inch. So we want it to be about 1 inch and an inch and a quarter maybe. We want it bigger than this, and I believe that's about 1 inch. So what's this one measure? Okay, so this one measures about 1 inch and 1/8, a little bit over 1/8, but not quite a quarter. Of course it has to be some odd, random, can't reproduce measurement. We all should have known that. What I'm going to do with this one, since I don't know if you can see that it actually has a score line there, I'm going to fold it in on that score line. So I'll tell you why in a second. On my one here, I actually cut out a piece and rounded the corner, cut it out, and glued it on. I just felt that that gave it a little bit extra strength. It gave it a lot extra strength. So I'm just going to do that. I'm definitely going to round the edges. This will get glued down though. That will just get glued down, and it's only there to add extra support. So now all I need to do is figure out how big I want to make it, and I definitely want, sorry I keep grabbing this one, a space between, a good space between, so that whatever I decorate on here, when this folds, you will be able to see it. I don't need a lot. I just want a little bit of a peek. Want a little bit of a peek. So if I put my things together, and well, actually it would go this way, wouldn't it? Hope I'm in frame. So it would go this way, if I get about an inch, doesn't even have to be a whole inch, but about an inch, I would start my first score here. And again, you can make the flap as big or as small as you want it. You can make it come up and over. Let me just mark this quick so that, right about there. Okay, now I won't lose it. Okay, so you could make this flap come all the way down. You don't have to leave a spacer at all. You can make it overlap. I guess at this point, before you do too much though, you do want to take into consideration what your closure is going to be. I may go back to Hobby Lobby and get one of these, since we're making this small, and I could do one in the center. I could do one on each side like I did here, but they don't have a smaller one. This is it. And I don't know if I want two that size on here. So you may want to consider what you want as your closure. You may want to just tie something around it. You may want to, whatever your closure is. I think I'm going to do something kind of easy that's already made so that I don't have to fuss too much. And it's just a matter of picking out one bigger one or two smaller ones. It's your design. You can do it any way you want. Now for this, since this is my flap, this will get glued down. So I don't need that. That's just going to make it harder. So I'm going to do my first score mark right about here. And then I think I'm going to count. I have one score, then one. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's actually 6 score marks. So are they how far apart are they? About, guess like that. So that's what we're doing. Whoop. I'm a little crooked there. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What did I say? 6? Going for 6. I don't need it. I don't need it. Going for 6. Okay. So that way it can kind of round. I'm only going to fold it on here and here, but leaving that with extra scores gives it a, well, at first it won't, but as you fill your little cachet, I don't know what, I don't know, your flippy flappy thing. And as it gets older, and the top can round if it wants, I am going to put paper on it so it will be some sort of nice paper. So it will have a little extra strength. And that one just sort of... Okay. So, for now, this will get glued under. That will be square. This will get tucked into the back. So just to end the confusement here, I'm going to, is that a word, confusement? I don't think so. I made that up. I absolutely made that up. So I'm just going to glue this part down so that we don't got to keep... Okay, and we have to hold it. I am going to decorate it at some point, so there. Now, that should be, I think that should be it with the scoring board. Really, what it comes down to now is the inking, if you're inking, and there's pretty much inking. Sorry, my fingers are so a mess. I was inking tiny little pieces, and it's just what I do for fun. And now I have a mess. That's what I have. Okay, so this will fit like this. This is going to be my front because it's the shorter side. This will fit in like that, and this will come over like that. Once those are glued, they will fit in there. This is my back. So you would only glue 3 sides because you want this as your big pocket. Same with on the front. You would only glue the 3 sides, but we're not going to glue it together yet. We're going to work on these before we put them in here, because I just feel once they're in here, they're harder to work on. That might be wrong, but all these pieces you're going to need to ink and stamp on if you're going to stamp. And like I did for this, I used my crackle paint. I used my coffee splatter and stencil, and I just inked all around the edges. So that's what I'm going to do with all of it. I inked around the edges here, but I didn't do the crackle paint, which is what I'm going to do. I also do it inside and out. However, what I did do here is, if you can see in the side that has a 1/2 inch or almost 1/2 inch, I did put some sort of tape. Now I do have this one. It is Eco Craft Tape. However, it's very kind of shiny and very, I really like it, but it does not take. Okay, sorry about that. My phone stopped recording. It's my phone's way of saying enough. Enough. Shut up. Okay, so anyway, this tape does not really take ink very well, and I found this one, which is Easy Mask painting tape. Now it only has like glue on one side, and the other side is no glue. I use glue anyway. When I glue it down, I use glue. And this, even this one doesn't take ink super great, but it does take ink better than the craft tape. So I did put a strip of that on there. I don't know if you can see that, and I certainly will do that on this one, and I will do it on this, because these will get a whole lot of use. So that's happening. So let's show you how I do it. Nothing scientific about it. Okay, just so I can mark, let me mark my, okay, so basically right here are my 2 score lines. I can scribble on them because we're putting tape over them, and I want you to be able to maybe see them. I don't know if you can see that a little better. No? See the 2 pencil marks? All right, so my tape is going to go these two, and these 2. Maybe a tiny bit more. I want it covered good. So I'm going to put glue, I'm going to put glue here and down here. What I should have did was bring in my inking thing. And then on here, cut off a little bit extra, front and back. Then I just try to get glue all the way up to the end. You don't have to go all the way up because I already put the glue on the two ends. So we're good there. Just want to get it to the sides. And my glue bottle is almost out of glue, and I have a brand new one. I want to make sure I finish this one first though. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Then put it down. This will be all covered with paper, basically, so pretty papers. But we want to make sure that it has a little extra sturdiness to it. So, and we really should let that, I think, dry before we start bending it all over the place. That's like one of my biggest things is I don't give it time to dry. Okay. Now cut this off. Just trying to make it so that my scissors don't. Okay. This project is kind of hard to videotape because it's so big. So I have to zoom my camera out, and then I'm not good at zooming it in and out. So I have to set my camera and set it there, keep it there. Sorry, I wanted to grab my rag. Baby wipe, clean that off. Okay, then this is what we're left with. We'll give that a little drying time while we do the top. The flap. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull out a piece larger than the flap. Longer, I should say. Longer. Then put glue. Okay, I'm going to put glue when the glue decides to work. Glue there and glue here. Hope I'm in frame. Then here. And I try not to be stingy with the glue because I really want this to be held down. I really don't want it loosening up on anyone. So I do try to be generous. Okay. That looks pretty good. All right. pretty good. Then I'm gonna put it down. Let's see. Okay, that's pretty good. This mat is from the Dollar Tree. It's one of their flexible cutting boards. What I like about it is I like to ink on it, and then when I want to really make something distressed, I just squirt water on this, mix it around my fingers, and then plop down my papers. It's kind of how I clean my board. Lazy person's cleaning method. Wait till you want to distress something. Okay. All right. I'll cut this off. Okay. All right, we are pretty good. Oh, I don't want to bend it right away, so before we bend it, what we're going to do is, going back to this one, I already have my splats, my coffee splatter marks. Before I do the splatter, I think I'll do the crackle. Now, I don't have a super large thing, just have something like that, so you make do with it. Also, I have to use a darker color. This is ground espresso, and I can't turn it upside down or the ink pad falls out, so I'm stuck doing this. But I ended up really liking this paint crackle one. I didn't think I would, but I do. It took a little bit on that tape. It took some. I think if I let it go and let it dry. Well, that's interesting and good to know. Get out of my own way here. It's a little hard working on some of these big projects like this because I'm very limited in space on my desk. Okay. Don't have to be too super precise because most of it gets covered up with paper, but any of it that's poking out, peeking out, we want it interesting. So we are making it interesting. Okay, let's see. All right, we're going to spin it around. Try the same thing. I think on the outside, darker green here, it's a little bit harder to get it to show up, but we'll get it. Press on there a little easier, a little harder to make it show up. Really quite the workout. So once again, you're going to have homework, and it is going to be doing this to all your pieces. However you're inking them or splattering, whatever design, if you're doing any at all. I won't make you watch me do all my pieces front and back. It's not fair. And you probably just would prefer to put on your own music or whatever and ink away. I don't have to cover every little bit, but I do like to cover enough of it that, let's see, how's that? It's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. I really think the only thing I'll do quickly is a few little marks. Even those show up on the... That's pretty good because I didn't put any paper or anything in my original, and I won't. It's too small an area. So that's pretty good. Okay. I think you got the point. I think you know what to do if you're doing it. And you got an awful lot to do if you're doing it. So might as well let you get to it. So that's it for today. Come back with part 3 in a day or two. So I hope it wasn't too confusing. You may have to rewatch this part a time or two. But really, once you just do one, don't try to do both at the same time. Do one, and then you'll see how it's supposed to work when you put it in. And once you see how it's supposed to work, you will know that you'll see it's not that hard. It's probably more confusing just because it's on video. If you were standing next to me, maybe that's what we have to do. I have to invite everyone here. But you'll get it. It's once you do one, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. And in part 3, we'll actually start the fun designing end of it. So I'm looking forward to that. So thanks for joining me, and stay creative. Hugs.